Okay, hi. Hello, everyone. Just by way of introduction, some of you may catch this on a replay, and that's great. I am Angela Lehman, and as an aroma freedom practitioner these last 4.5 years, I have found that using my essential oils to promote emotional wellness has been one of the greatest gifts and tools of my life. If you are in my Aroma Freedom group and seeing this on live stream, I invite you to hop over to the Zoom room and say hi and be live. The book study is intended to be interactive. It may be that 6 o'clock isn't a great time for everyone, and we may decide to move the next few weeks to 7 p.m. I totally understand that. I was just kind of shooting in the dark for an evening time, especially for our East Coast participants. Since it is a free offering, I just wanted to make sure our East Coast participants could hop on earlier than 10 p.m., which would be what it would have to be if we were starting at 7. So let me just kind of run through kind of what I foresee happening with the book. I know some of you are choosing to order it. Some of you are not choosing to order it. Totally fine either way. I actually did I did run a book study on this just privately in the summer. I found that June, I think we did it in June, and that was a really good time to go through it with some of my closer friends to sort of get their opinions of the book and what they loved and took away from it. There is purpose to having the workbook as well, because you can record your answers there. I like people liked the opportunity to sort of journal and sort of invest and engage with the text. I don't know Rhonda Favano personally, but as far as emotional wellness books go, this is definitely a really short read as opposed to some of the others. And I'll bring those others to you next week as other resources that you can use. Obviously, if you are in the Aroma Freedom group already, you see value in using the products to enhance your emotional wellness, and perhaps you're using Aroma Freedom on a regular basis, or participating with aroma boosts or resets, or aroma wisdom as you're contemplating future decisions and what's coming. Remember, the whole purpose of Aroma Freedom is to get quiet enough to hear that inner wisdom. And one of the things I read in Rhonda Favano's book that was so impactful to me was how our energy and our thoughts directly connect to our sense of well-being and our feeling center. So one of the things that she says, and I'll just quote this for a second. Emotions may cause physiological changes. So in order to understand how emotions can have a positive or negative effect on our body, she says, the definition of emotion includes any of the feelings of joy, sorrow, fear, hate, love, etc. Also, any strong agitation of the feelings actuated by experiencing love, hate, fear, etc., and usually is accompanied by certain physiological changes such as increased heartbeat or respiration, and often overt manifestation as crying or shaking. Those of you who've been with me a while know that during Aroma Freedom sessions, I yawn. That's the way my body clears negative emotions to make room for clearer thinking. So yawning helps my body, or is my signal that my feelings are shifting. But emotions causes our body to move out of what is known by the medical field as homeostasis. Homeostasis is defined as any self-regulating process by which biological systems remain stable while adjusting to conditions that are optimal for survival. So if homeostasis is successful, life continues. If it's unsuccessful, disaster or death ensues. And so again, there's more that she writes about that, but I just, again, wanted to sort of, we won't review, I'll just sort of give you the outline for book reading so that you can be thinking about those things this week, and we can come back and talk about them next week. But I think the thing that's most impactful with studying the emotions and studying our feelings is not just avoiding the emotions, but addressing the emotions, confronting the emotions, being willing to look honestly at how we're feeling, and not try to distract ourselves or wish it away, or wish things could be different, but instead embrace the moment, embrace those the uncomfortable feelings and the discomfort that we have, and learn from those. Like I've often said in our Aroma Freedom sessions that anger can also be a catalyst, right? It doesn't always have to be a negative emotion or something that we try to get rid of. Anger, obviously, outward expressions of anger that hurt ourselves or hurt other people, those are dangerous, and those are can be problematic. But truly understanding that anger as itself is a catalyst for change. It also is a cover-up for maybe fear and sadness, and maybe helps us to sort of uncover some of those things that we have kept buried for a really long time. And so that's another book that we'll talk about next week as well, which is Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. It's a book that you can order on Amazon, to just to start to scratch the surface of what's behind our feelings, what's behind our emotions. And in the Aroma Freedom process, understanding these a little bit more and overcoming them can also give us the not overcoming the emotions, but addressing the emotions and figuring out tools and strategies to remove them as blockers to the things that we want. That's what Aroma Freedom's for. So when we use aromas, when we use essential oils from Young Living to make those shifts and make those changes and breathe that into our limbic system, into that fight or flight response, we're giving our bodies and our emotions a chance to work together instead of fighting each other. So hopefully that, by way of introduction, encourages you, if it's not this book, another book, and I'd love to hear your suggestions as well on books that are have been impactful to you as far as uncovering or understanding emotions even better. Like I said, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die is one that I highly recommend. And there are others that I'll bring to you in the next few weeks. But I wanted to offer this on Wednesday evenings as an opportunity for us to just sort of talk about and address kind of the behind the scenes of why Aroma Freedom works, how we can really make it work for us by understanding our emotions and connecting around those even more. So yeah, so thank you for entrusting me with this time and with this opportunity to work with you. And like I said, if you are seeing this on YouTube or as a replay, I would just encourage you, wherever you're at, to reach out, be part of this community, be part of the experience of confronting those emotions and being willing to see them for what they are, so that you have a chance to change the outcome, right? If you keep on doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. So what is it that you can do to really change things and make them more powerful for your life? All right. So, okay, so let's talk about what to read. If you are going to follow along with the book, you can order it from growinghealthyhomes.com. If you do want to follow along and read the book, you're going to want to go through pages 13 through 36 in preparation for next week. So those topics are: what is energy? Where are energy centers? How do energy and thoughts work together? What are toxic thoughts? Thoughts and words, smells and essential oils. So a little bit about the basics. Go a little bit about the basics of essential oils, especially if you haven't reviewed why essential oils work so well or how the olfactory system works. This will be really helpful. And like I said, they're just short little chapters, short little pages, because it's just a tiny little book, but pages 13 through 36. And if you're following along in the workbook, I will bring that content next week as well, and give you some questions that we'll ask and discuss among us for chapters 1 through 6 in the workbook. So those are the things to focus on for next week, to really kind of have some opinions about as you come into this. I will, by way of, let me just pull up the Conquering Toxic Emotions workbook so that you can see what I'm talking about and decide if this is I think it's another $10 download. And if you didn't want to order the book and you just wanted to get the download so you didn't have to pay shipping, this might be a good, in addition to or instead of the actual book. But you can see that this is laid out to go along like a journal with the text. So here at this point, applying stress away, lavender, peace and calming, to pulse points and inhaling deeply, to just really to go through this, emotions, we just talked about this, emotions may cause physiological changes. Are there 3 aspects that make humans multidimensional? We'll review some of these things tomorrow, next Wednesday. As you completed the exercise on page 15, so that references a time when you felt really, really scared. And I'll do that with you in a minute. What physical effects did you experience? So just helping you kind of hone in on what those things are. Can you think of your earliest childhood memories? Do you have emotions associated with those memories? Of the emotions you listed above, which ones do leave you feeling uncomfortable? I would love for you to come and be vulnerable and talk about that with our group. Like I said, we're kind of small tonight, but we may have more. Join us next week, especially if we move the time to 7 p.m. So I'll ask for a poll on that if you think that's a better time than the 6 p.m. start time. And then when you're ready to begin clearing those toxic emotions, these emotions that are leaving you uncomfortable, those would be a good place to start. And so in Aroma Freedom and in the things that we do with trauma, with Aroma Freedom, I think those are really good to pinpoint so that you can get clear and clear those out. So are there any physical symptoms you experience when you recall those emotions? And then any notes, thoughts, or ideas that are associated with that. And then, of course, the next section. So like I said, there's 6 chapters that you'll go through. This one is all about energy. How do you describe energy? What do you, there's some information here about the law of vibration. It says everything that exists in the universe consists of pure energy, which resonates and exists as a vibratory frequency. So Mike Dooley, you guys can follow him on Insta and on Facebook. He's on both. And he has a great, actually, daily piece that he sends out about energy. This is his website, apparently, One Mind, One Energy. I've just followed him on socials for the last few years. Positive and negative vibrations. What kind of vibration are you emitting? And if you're emitting a negative vibration, are you getting negative results? And how do you shift to emit more positive vibrations into the world? Our emotions are an internal guidance system. You hear me refer to it as your inner wisdom. What are some emotions you've experienced in the last 24 hours? Which ones would you not like to experience any longer? When you walk into a room where there was recently an argument, you will feel negative energy. When there is harmony, you'll feel positive energy. So how do you come into a room expecting that? What are you expecting to receive? What are you expecting to add to the room? I know I'm going through this really quickly, but these are just because some of you don't have the content yet. And so I wanted to sort of go through it and give you some of those questions to consider for next week when we meet, and what really jumps out at you in some of this review of just the questions. Here's more information about energy centers and EKGs, as well as the description of the menorah is a mirror image of the 7 chakras, the electrical energy centers, right? So we'll talk more about that next week. And then here's an image that she printed in the book as well. And so these are the 7 chakras. Sometimes people consider this religious, people will consider this to be very new age. But when you think about how our bodies were created to be such a beautiful mystery in so many ways, it makes sense that our energy would flow from that root chakra all the way through our highest spiritual guidance through that crown chakra there at the top of the head. Pretty cool, right? Like, this is kind of what the workbook looks like. Here is the third chapter about energy and thoughts. We talked a little bit about that. What do you see when you look at yourself in the mirror? If you look at Proverbs 23:7, the prophet said, "For as he thinks in his heart, so he is." So what are you thinking? And therefore, what are you bringing about? Oops. You keep going. Chapter 4. This is page 20, 26 and 27. What will toxic thoughts can lead to sickness, disease, and death, which is kind of like humbling to think about. How do we transition and how do we make things more positive? When was the last time you were ill or in pain? And then think about your emotional state prior to that experience. Did you have a really high experience and then this was kind of a big low, or did you kind of feel yourself starting to drop emotionally, and so therefore your body was vibrating at a lower frequency, making you more susceptible to illness? What about when you're worried about a situation? And again, we talk about this in aroma freedom, right? When we worry, that's when we apply our aroma wisdom or our aroma boost to really evaluate the thought separate, kind of like a bird's eye view of what's going on, and give us ourselves some perspective so that we can upgrade the thought. We can create a thought that in an affirmation that keeps us in action instead of deterring us from that. And then two more chapters, 5 and 6. So the thoughts and the words, death and life are in the power of the tongue, from Proverbs 19:21. So are there 5 phrases that you often use? I'm a terrible cook. I never get this right. I'm awful at math. I just said that last night. Like, I've never been good at math. Okay, so write down 5 phrases you often use. That just kills me. I thought I was going to die. I was so embarrassed, or I was so sad, it just broke my heart. I mean, think about those things literally. It broke my heart. It burned my britches. How do you upgrade your words to form positive confessions? And how do you choose language that brings about life rather than speaking death? And so these are fill in the blanks that come directly from the book itself. Some of them will be easy for you to fill in, and some we'll do together next week. And then last is all about the smells and essential oils. So we're really going to dive in on why essential oils work the way they do. If there are 5 main components to choose essential oils. Some specific ways you can use each of the 3 ways, and then other notes and ideas related to that. So that's what we will discuss as a group next week. Let me know in the comments or by shooting me a message if 7 p.m. Would be a better time for you. I know someone out here was driving home from work. I know somebody else requested a little later start time too. So even if we did 6:30 Arizona time, this is just for the month of October. So even if we did 6:30 Arizona time, that puts it at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. So let me know if that's acceptable, or if you would prefer 7 Arizona time, which would be a little bit later than, of course, for our Central and our Eastern folks. But yeah, so thanks. I just wanted to quickly do that introduction for everyone. Barb, thanks for jumping on live. And those of you who are in the group, hopefully you're leaving your comments as well. Thanks for that feedback, Barb. That's helpful. Because I know you're one of our out-of-staters, so I want to make sure I'm catching you at a good time. And then we'll come back next Wednesday at that designated time to have our session. I just need to know by Friday what we're going to do for next week so that I can get it on my calendar. Thanks everybody for hopping on. Thanks for being part of this, Barb, live. It's good to see you. I'm gonna stop the recording, and then Barb, if you want to check in for a few minutes, we can totally